live stream here today. If you can see me and you can hear me, just leave me a comment. Let me know that you are here with us live. We do this every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you can hear us and you can see us, let us know in the chat. Travis is going to be with us watching the chat, managing, answering questions if you guys have them during this. But we have a special guest with us today who I'm excited to get into an interview with is Yvonne Donaghy. I hope I'm saying that right. If not, you can correct me in a minute, Yvonne. She's from the Center of Dance Arts, and she's going to share with us, and we're going to dig deep into how she was able to go from 154 students to 206 students in only 6 weeks. That's a big number of students in a short amount of time. We're going to break down the story. It's super encouraging, very inspiring. And I know that, there's probably a lot of dance studio owners that are in the same boat as Yvonne. And I thought this would be a great short story to share. We chatted a little bit before the live stream, so I'm excited to get into all the details of how she was able to do this. But if you guys can see me and you can hear us, just leave us a comment. Let us know you're here with us live. We're going to be watching those comments. And if you're on the replay, like if you're watching this and it doesn't say live, you're watching the replay, let us know too. You can just type the word replay in the comments there. We're going to be paying attention to that. Travis is going to be watching for those comments as well. If you have any questions while you're listening, feel free to chat those in, and Travis is going to try to answer those as we're going. But before we get into Yvonne's story, real quick, I have a question for everybody out there. If you own a dance studio, how many of you out there would like to actually grow your school? I'm sure that's probably why you're in this group in the first place. Maybe you've tried things like hiring an ad agency or using word of mouth or doing like weekend events or, maybe boosting a post on Facebook. And even though you're doing all that stuff, you're kind of feeling stuck and frustrated, not getting people in the door, and you're ready for a change. If that's you, some of that kind of applies to Yvonne's story. So I'm excited to get into that and how she's kind of overcome a lot of that stuff. But I'll let her get into all the details and how it's impacted her school specifically. But for those of you watching, if you were just going to the comments right now, let us know in the comments if you've been frustrated in the past about maybe how expensive it is to actually pay somebody to do your ads. I know that's a very common theme that we hear is like, I'd like to hire somebody, or I did hire somebody, and it was just so expensive that it was hard to make it work. Or maybe you've just been struggling with filling up your classes in general. Let us know in the comments, and maybe some things that you've tried at your school in the past. Give us a list. And maybe you've tried, the ad agency route, or maybe you've tried doing things on your own or boosting a post or doing those weekend events. Maybe something else. Let us know. And we'll kind of try and dive into all that stuff and really customize this. But let us know if there's anything that you've tried that hasn't worked or where you're frustrated, and we'll jump into it. But right now, Yvonne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. So we're here to kind of celebrate some of the success you've been having early on in the Student Magnet program. Going from 154 to 206 students in about 6 weeks is pretty impressive. So I'm excited to get into how that makes you feel and, kind of what you've done to do that. But if you would just kind of go ahead and introduce yourself, give us a little background of your story, how long you've been a dance instructor and how long you've been in business, and then we'll kind of dive into the interview. So go ahead and introduce yourself if you would.
Sure. My name's Yvonne Donaghy, and I live in Torrington, Connecticut. I have had my studio for 35 years. We just started our 35th season. I've been teaching dance for 38 years. So we recently, year and a few months ago, had to move our studio because our building got bought. And I was at the kind of a crossroads. Okay, do I retire? Do I use this as an opportunity to say, okay, maybe my time has come? Or I decided either close or I have to give it 100%. It was one or the other because of the whole COVID thing, my rent anywhere around here was going to be 3 to 3.5 times what I was paying. So that's why I decided it was either if I jump into this, I've got to really be in with both feet. Otherwise, I'm going to be underwater soon. So I had to come to Jesus moment. I said, I don't think I'm ready to close. I talked to my husband about it. He said, during COVID, he said, you sat here every day practically in tears. You missed your students so much. He said, do you think in a couple of years you suddenly don't have that in you anymore? And he's like, you're not ready. You're not ready. So we signed a 5-year lease, and here we are. And it's been, the new location has worked out great. And I was at the point where I felt like I was ready to take on more students. And that's what led to my journey with you.
Awesome. And so you had 154 students when you started with us.
Yes. Well, over the summer is when I did all my training. So I would be ready to get my ads up and running. Like for us here in Connecticut, our school season starts like the last couple of days of August, early September. So for us, the big registration boost is the end of August, early September. So
Mhm.
I had my ads ready to go for the second week of August when people were going to start thinking about back to school things. So I had all my training done. I had the ads ready, but I didn't turn them on until I was ready because I didn't want people to book appointments and then have to wait 4 or 5 weeks before we opened back up.
Yeah.
So worked out beautifully. I had right away a lot of appointments that were, starting to book, and it gave me a chance to learn your program, learn the student magnet, learn the follow-up ninja, and not feel overwhelmed with everything at once. So the timing for me worked out beautifully. Having done this for 34 years, I knew this is the best timing for me. So second week of August, I opened up. Within a week, I probably had 12 people that had already set up appointments. By the time we opened September 5th, we probably had 15 to 20 that had booked. Now, of course, they all didn't show up, but the majority of them did. And it just worked out beautifully. I used the whole summer to do my training at my own pace. I learned at my own pace, went back and retaught myself, went back and watched a video again if I wasn't 100%. And it really was not difficult. Taking it step by step, your program really is easy. And as we discussed before, being 54, I don't grasp technology very well. It's hard for me. It's new and everything's always changing. So you feel like you learn something, then you got to learn something else. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take the time to learn how to do this myself. Instead of having a marketing company do everything for me, I wanted to learn how I could make my own ads, how I could handle most of it myself, more or less because I felt like I like to learn and I like to be proud of myself for learning something new, saying, okay, I accomplished this. And I was, when I got to your last video, I was like, wow, this is really great. Pat on the back. I did this myself. And it's really very user friendly. You couldn't be more wonderful in how you present your videos, and you take us step by step by step, and it's very easy to learn.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, it's all attributed to the work that you did. Like we put it out there, but you actually have to do the work. So I appreciate the feedback. But something I really love about you, just in talking to you in the last, I don't know, 20 minutes or so since we started this call, is a couple of things you said. You didn't follow our program exactly because you like to speak from the heart, which I love that part about, the program is customizable. So you can kind of do your own thing with it. You learn the
Yes.
techniques that work well for you, and then you kind of apply it the way it works best for you. But the other part I love about your story, Yvonne, is you were already a successful school owner. You already had 150 some students. You've been in business for 30 something years, but you have this, and we talked about mindset a little bit before. Like a lot of our program deals with some mindset stuff that people struggle with, and you already had a really great mindset. I'd be willing to bet you probably still went through the videos and watched them, because the person with your type of mindset usually does at least give it a listen to reinforce all that stuff. But the thing I appreciate about it is, even though you have all that experience, even though you know what you're doing, even though you've been successful, you've been really coachable and like just listened to the process and took it in for what it was and applied it. And then the results kind of speak for themselves. So if you don't mind, would you share a little bit more about how you used what we gave you, but then also kind of customized it and made it your own?
Sure. So as far as the follow-up ninja, I can't imagine anyone not using that. It's an incredible tool, although it takes a while to get it set up. If you follow the videos, it's easy. It's so easy for me. When I sit down in the morning, and I am very lucky. I know a lot of my studio owner friends have a second job. They work during the day. I do not have to. So for me, when I sit down in the morning at my computer, the very first thing I do before I check emails or any of that, I go to my follow-up ninja. And I check because I teach at night, as we all do. I don't come home at night. I have a little bit of time with my husband before he falls asleep. I don't go on and catch up. I do it in the morning. So first thing I do is I spend, sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's longer. Depends on how much happened in that day. But every day, including Sundays, I spend at least 10 minutes on my follow-up ninja, making sure I'm caught up with my opportunities, my calendars, my appointments. I have a woman who works in my office. She's my sister, but she's my office manager. And every day I update any appointments that are new so that she knows which classes someone's going to step into. So she knows what her role is in all of that, what she has to hand out. So that would be my number one suggestion, is set a time, even if it requires you like putting a timer in your phone, like say, I have a gratitude alarm on my phone at 1:30 every day. I stop for 5 minutes and give gratitude for everything that I have in my life. Doesn't matter, even if it wasn't a good day, I'm still giving gratitude for all the wonderful things I have. So set a little alarm and say, okay, every day, whatever it is, even if it's 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to check my follow-up ninja. You'll get to where you don't need the alarm anymore, but I think it's extremely important. So because I'm lucky enough to not have to work during the day, if I get a notice, an alert on my lead connector on my phone, which can be with me anywhere I go, I try very hard to respond within a few minutes. If I have the availability, I will do it right away. I can't tell you the amount of people that have said, thank you so much for your quick response, or thank you so much for your quick communication. And I speak just like if they were standing in front of me. I don't make it robotic. I don't find it an inconvenience. I feel like those people deserve my time. So I will send whatever. Sometimes they're confused. Sometimes they don't speak English or English well, which is an issue for us here. I don't speak Spanish. So sometimes that's a struggle, but I still try very hard to make sure they understand what the pass is going to give them, what classes are available for them, and, that they're welcome to do all of those classes at that age group if they so choose, but they don't have to. So whatever it is, I answer. And I try to speak like I'm not an AI. I want them to know this is, and I always finish this is Miss Yvonne. I own the dance studio. So they know this is a human being you're talking to on the other side. So that's another suggestion I have. If you see there's a notification on your lead connector, which I just love having on my phone, if you've got a few minutes, take the time to answer them. Don't make them wait if you can. I have that luxury most of the time, not when I'm teaching. Between the hours of 3:30 and 8:30, I do not acknowledge anything. Even if it's a person that's coming in that day, I do not look at it. I'm focused on who's paying me to be there in that moment. So that works for me. The other thing, like I said, and this is the only thing I don't do according to what you taught us in the videos, I don't follow the script that you have written out. I'm not saying they're not well done. They are. But after being in business for 34 years, I know what works for me, for my studio. We have a very close-knit group. We're very family oriented. Like, we have a coffee bar in the studio. People are welcome to sit. I have a television that shows the classes, whereas the other studios in my area, they still don't allow people in the building. I don't like that. I like people to get to know, like, if you came in with your daughter and there's another man in there with his daughter, you may very well decide you can carpool, you can have a play date, something, right? It's just like school. The parents like to have that time to chat, to vent, you never know. We've had families that have become so close, the kids have been in each other's weddings. Now, I've been teaching for 35 years, right? So I've got kids now that are children of the kids I had when they were 3 and 4 years old. So it's nice. That's what I pride myself on the most, that my studio isn't just a place you drop your kid off, they take dance class and they leave. It's very, very family oriented. So when I have a student that's coming in booked through your system, And I know they're coming in. It's on my list. I've got it on my desk, and so does my office manager. And she always tells me, you got someone coming in for this class, that class. I finish the class as I would with my students, and we bring them to the door. And I always bring my students to the waiting room if they're under the age of 9, always personally, to make sure somebody has a mom, dad, grandma, someone picking them up. They're not just out there on their own.
Yeah.
And anybody that's new, I always go to the parent, and then we, or whomever it is, and we discuss how they did, what they thought, how they seemed to enjoy it. And without any pressure, they've already been given paperwork that I have filled out, that I have for my office manager. So while their child's in class, they're already reading through, the option of doing the paying partial or registering. In my case, I have a $30 registration fee. If they sign up as a student that day, they don't pay that $30 registration fee. And I can tell you, and I'm not saying this to brag, every single student that has come from your program and tried our class has registered. Every single one of them. So that explains the 154 to 206. And I do think that family oriented, you're not a pain. You're not taking my time. You're not a bother. I'm not so concerned that the next class has to start that I give that person my time. Sometimes it's 2, 3 parents at the same time. I just have them together. We just discuss it as a group. This is what we do. Any questions, no pressure, let me know. And normally, before they even walk out the door, we have a QR code that shows the registration. It brings it right up. They're already on the phone registering, and that's how it's worked for us.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. So while it's not exactly our script, I think the structure of it is real similar to what we do, which is just conversational, no pressure.
Right.
This is the option. Here's the best one that I think is for you, but I'll let you decide. Those kind of techniques, if you want to call them that, is really just like what you said, from the heart. It's like real conversation where you're not trying to convince anybody of anything. It's just like, here's your options. You saw what we can do. Either you love it or you don't. And usually if you do it that way, the results far exceed any kind of like slimy tactics that people are trying in sales or in, any kind of like Jedi mind trick stuff. The world doesn't work that way anymore. People are way too smart to fall for tricks.
Right.
In fact, if you treat people like they're smart, they'll make the smart decision, which is usually enrolling in your school. So I love that. And to go back to some of the stuff that you said too, I love the fact that the parents are in there. I don't know if it's a normal thing for a lot of schools to do that, to have people in. I've heard kind of mixed strategies on that. I love the fact that the families are in there. My son was in karate, taekwondo, when he was younger, and we've made some of the best friends in our lives sitting in that room watching him do it, some of our best friends were our parents of other students and his best friends. In fact, we moved to Georgia. He's from, we're originally from up near Chicago. We moved to Georgia. And when we went back to visit, it's always people that were in his school, parents of, and friends. And my son, who's 16 now, his girlfriend lives up there. He met her in class. So it's just such a cool thing that, he's doing they're trying the long distance thing. They're 16. So who knows? They seem like they're made for each other. They have so many common things, but they met because, we knew their parents and it was sitting in the waiting room. So that's awesome. I love that. Basically for anybody that's watching, what we do is we teach schools how to market, advertise, follow up, book appointments, enroll students. We don't have like a cookie cutter thing. And what you're seeing here is Yvonne really kind of customizing it to her school. Now, if you're like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, I don't have any clue about any of this stuff, maybe you just started. That's what we have the scripts for. That's what we have the step-by-step process for. It's all filled in, but we're not like it's our way or the highway. And something I'll share this, Yvonne, before the call, she was like, I don't exactly follow it. Is that going to be okay? I don't want to. And I was like, absolutely. We're not here to just like force you into our way or the highway. We want it to work for you. And we have our rule is if it works, then it's good.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, then it's not. And so we know our way works. If you follow it to a T, it works. But if you have a way to improve on it or a way to make it fit your process and it works good for you, then hey, we're all about that. So that's kind of, I appreciate about that, about your story. And I know there's probably some people watching right now that might be feeling like, well, I don't have all the experience that Yvonne has. I haven't been in business for 30 something years. Will this still work? And so the question or the answer is it's all there for you, and
Mm-hmm.
it will help you develop that process. But if you already have something that you know works and, you want to spitball it with us, we're happy to do that too. So anyway, I got a question for you about some of the stuff that you did before. What kind of things were you doing to get students? Walk us through some of the strategy you had prior to meeting us.
I didn't really do much of anything. I think for me, having been in business for so long and having a positive reputation, a lot of my students came word of mouth, but it wasn't enough students. It was enough when my rent was, not 3.5 times what it is now. It was enough. And I have to be honest, when you go through phases of your life, and because I'm in my 50s, I've already raised my kids, I have grandchildren. So there's times when I was younger where my family's needs really had to take precedence. I don't mind saying there's mental health issues go very wide in my family. So there were times where sometimes one of our kids just need a little more time. So I kind of just went on a status quo, like, okay, I don't care if I have 120 students. It wasn't a priority at that moment. I kind of had a fire lit under me when I had to decide either, like I said, go big or go home, right? Either do it or don't, but I had to give 100% of what I was capable of. And I wasn't capable of that on my own. I could have been given tools, like my daughter owns a business and she's 28 and she's like, Mom, you can use Canva, you can do this, you can do that. Okay. But for me, I'm looking at Canva saying, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? It wasn't enough, right?
Yeah.
For me, it wasn't enough. So when I started researching companies like yourself, I knew I didn't want a marketing company that did everything under the sun. I needed someone that could relate to dance students, could relate to what it is that I do, not anything and everything. I just didn't feel like that was personal enough. And as we discussed before we started this, I checked with at least 5 other marketing companies that quote unquote specialize in dance studios or gymnastic studios. And for me, they didn't seem personal enough. The presentation I was given was very professional, but very cookie cutter. This is what I'm going to say to you. I'm going to say this to John. I'm going to say this to Mary. I'm going to say this to Sue. It didn't feel like the people were talking to me as Yvonne. This is where I am. This is how many students I have. This is where I live. And as well as I do, that's a huge factor, where you live. We live in somewhat of a depressed area. Since COVID, things got worse, but we're not in a wealthy area. There's many wealthy areas in Connecticut. Our city is not one of those, nor is it like Hartford or, New Haven, these really big, right? That's not that either. So I had to have a company that was going to work for me and my demographic. So I listened and I wasn't like so eager that I said, okay, I have to grab the first one that comes along. I told myself, I'm going to know when I find the right company for me. And I'm just going to keep listening and take the time out of my day, take the hour presentation, listen to what they have to say. And each one was not for me. It just something about it. And they were all great people. It just wasn't for me. And then, like I said, I was flying home from a visit with my daughter and granddaughter, and yours came up on my Facebook. And I'm like, okay, here's another one. I clicked whatever it was I had to click. I made an appointment. And within the first, I'd say 10, 15 minutes of the conversation I had with the person that I believe it was Travis.
Yeah.
Right away, I had a very homey, okay, this might be for me. So it piqued my interest. And so having already had 5 marketing presentations, I knew what questions to ask. And each time I got an answer, it was what I wanted to hear. Everything about it was for me. And I told you before, I liked the idea of learning myself, not handing it over and letting somebody else make the ad and somebody else say, this is what works. Don't change it. Don't do this. Don't do that. I wanted to have a little bit of freedom, and I wanted to teach myself how. I wanted to know how, when I went on the meta business, what does everything mean? It's very confusing. It really is. Even having trained with you, it's always changing on there. They're always messing things up. So for me, learning that was crucial, because then I knew I had access. A few weeks back, I had told you I got COVID, and then it turned into pneumonia. It was too much for me. I shut my ad off. I didn't have to call you, say, John, can you figure out can you turn this off? I didn't need your permission. I went in, I turned it off, because at that point I needed to worry about my health. Too much was going on, and I stopped the ads for about 10 days. All right, I'm feeling better. I'm ready to click right back on instantly. I just went in there, clicked it, and I have it bookmarked in my computer. So literally was seconds back on. And then the appointments and opportunities started rolling in again. So for me, that's how it worked. I found a company like yourself, and if it works for me, the truth of the matter is it can work for anybody. You can't use the excuse, it's too hard, I don't have the time, because you let me take my time. And I don't remember what the dilemma was, but I think it was because I was starting when school started. You actually gave me a few extra weeks before I had to pay. You kindly gave me those extra weeks because I wasn't using the system to its full advantage yet. Time-wise, it didn't work for me, right? So you're just a regular person running a business. You weren't all about, I need that money right today. You said, you know what, let me just give you 3 extra weeks. And so that's the kind of company I was looking for. Someone that I was not just another person on the list of calls to make that day. I felt important. I felt like you were trying to connect with me and what was best for my business. Your company wasn't pushy. And then you gave me some time, and you literally said, let us know if you decide you want to sign up. And then it was like 7 days later, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. And I reached right out. I have nothing but positive things to say about everything since the day I started with that presentation about your company.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate that. That's really good feedback to hear. So I'm curious to get back to some of the results you were getting.
Sure.
When you enrolled, how many students? It was like 60, 50 something students.
52. Yeah.
50. So you enrolled 52 students in 6 weeks during your registration period.
Yes.
Have you ever enrolled that many
No.
in the past?
No. Definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have assumed most studios, and like I said, we're not in a huge, when I'm not in Atlanta, Georgia, but I don't know how many studios would be thrilled to have 50 in a year.
Yeah.
You made 50 from September to June, you're feeling like you made a lot of progress. No, definitely not 52 in 6 weeks. Absolutely not.
I love it. Excellent. And so would you say, based on all the years of experience you have in trying to grow the school and getting students, would you say the work that you did in that 6-week period was more or less to get that number of students than what you've done in the past?
I honestly don't feel like, to be honest, I don't feel like it's work at all. I don't even look at it as work. Like I said, it's those few minutes a day. You take the time out, and sometimes 2, 3 times in a day I have to go in because, someone has reached out or had a question, and I don't care if they ask the same question 10 times. I don't care about, I know a lot of studio owners, it drives them crazy. For me, I've always had this perspective, and I know my studio owner friends respect me for this, but I say those people I work for them. I work for them, right? So if they have 20 questions and I'm going to answer all 20 questions, and if I have to answer 20 questions 20 times, I'm going to answer it. I work for them. And if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have a business. So that kind of thing doesn't bother me, but it's not work. I'm teaching my class anyway. I might have a few new people. I have to take a couple minutes to give them their time. The way I see it is with my class being on a monitor in the waiting room, my class has to sell itself. And if it's selling itself, then I'm doing a good job. I'm not pretending like without a monitor, it might be more difficult. They're not knowing what their kids are doing. They're seeing it, they're having fun, we're laughing, we're joking, and I'm very much like a stand-up comic in my classes. That's just my personality. So if they can see that, then it's selling itself, but I don't want to sell a product I don't stand behind, right? So it's not work for me. It's what I do. It's what I love. It's my job. It's a simple few minutes to talk to somebody, and it's those simple few minutes on the follow-up ninja. That's it. It's in my opinion, it's not work. Laundry, cleaning, that's work. This is what I love. And I love every aspect of it. I love meeting new people. I love that their kids are smiling. It's not work. And so I wouldn't use that as the proper term. Was it hard for me? If that's what you're asking? No, it was easy. It did itself. It sold itself. Your ad that you helped me put together telling me what's okay, don't use this, use that. That's what seems to be, right? That's what's bringing the people in, that ad. And if I can get them in the door, I can keep them. Them not showing up, that's the tough part. That happens. They, they just don't show up, or they'll say cancel or whatever. And it happens. And I always say, okay, let me know if you've changed your mind. And I always very nicely, simply say, no problem. If you change your mind in the future, we're here. Keep my number or whatnot. There's no pressure from me whatsoever. I try to be very polite about that. I've got to teach those classes whether they show up or not. But if I get them in the door, I'm keeping them.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. So you shared, that's a really good perspective. I think where some people kind of get into the trap of feeling like they need to pressure people is because they don't have that steady flow coming in. If as well as I know, that if this person doesn't come in, the next one will. It's no big deal. So It's like, it's real easy to hold the kind of posture you want to have is take it or leave it. If you like it, do it. If you don't. That's the kind of posture we all want to have. But some people feel the pressure of, well, this is the only lead I've got this week, so I got to make sure that I do everything I can to get them and convince them. And that's really the freedom of having a system and a strategy like what you have in place now. Is it's not you can really have the posture you want to have, which is take it or leave it. It's here if you want it, and if you don't, it's not. It's fine. It's up to you. Because no one likes selling. No one likes being sold to. No one likes being convinced of something or talked into something. They want to do what they want to do. And we all want to do the same thing. But as a business owner, I think there is a lot of noise out there, like in the world, that says, oh, you need to be good at this selling, and you need to be able to convince people of things and persuade people of things. And I call nonsense on it. I say, if you have enough abundance in your life and you have enough gratitude for what you have, that need to just convince everybody and to sell everybody kind of goes away. And it helps you actually be more grateful, and it helps you actually enroll more people, because when you present it that way, as you said, everybody that walked in is enrolling, as opposed to some schools that are trying to pressure people and they're happy to get 30% to do it. So I really appreciate that perspective that you have. Hopefully you guys that are watching are being inspired by this. If you're inspired, would you type the word inspired in the comments right now? It's hard for us to know whether you are inspired or not. We can't see your faces. We're not talking to a room full of people. So if you would just type the word inspired if you're feeling inspired by this. And that's really what these success stories are for. The reason we interview school owners in the first place is because we want to inspire those of you who are in this group, because these are stories of dance studio owners who have implemented the system that literally anybody can do. You don't have to be tech savvy. You don't have to be salesy or any of that stuff. The process is very step-by-step. It's also very customizable. And, if you're live with us and you're feeling inspired, just type the word inspired so that we know. And I want to show Yvonne some love. This is kind of how you give her a round of applause, by typing the word inspired, letting us know that you're appreciating the time that we're here. And and spending with you. You know, Yvonne is just here because she wants to inspire you. That's really the reason that she's doing this. So can you walk me through one thing emotionally really quick? This is one of my favorite questions to ask school owners. When, you know, it's like you said, there's some work involved to get to the point where you turn the ads on. Like you have to go through stuff. Sometimes that's challenging. Sometimes it feels like you're pushing a rock uphill. But when you got to the point where you turned the ads on and you started to see the fruits and you started seeing the effort kind of pay off, and then you started seeing students enrolling, and when it became so normal for you to be answering questions and enrolling students, what was that like for you emotionally? Was there a moment where you're like, my gosh, this is really working and this is consistent? And like, was there a time that you can remember back where you're like, I've made it. I've done it.
I'd say the truth would be at the beginning when I wasn't 100% comfortable with the follow-up ninja, how to do it, how to mark that someone showed up, they won them, you know what I mean? All of that those little things. I still felt a little anxiety as to, was I doing it right? And because I know how important it is to keep that up to date so that we can follow our progress. Because when you open it up and you see like right now I'm at, I think 118 leads. So it shows me in the corner, right? And that's just since the second or third week of August. And then it tells me the dollar amount that I've produced, and you know, all the other things that it does. So I think when I started no longer having a little bit of anxiety over, am I doing this right? I'm like, oh, okay, I got this now. This is what I do. And you do have to put the time in, because if I had someone that came in the night before and they registered, I need to get in there, move them to whatever column they're supposed to be moved to, fill out the information and move along. You get behind it, then it can start to feel like it's a bit overwhelming. That's why you got to do it. You got to stay, like you say, every day. And you say, you know, sometimes you have to take a day off. I get that. Like I said, I was sick. So there was a time where it was just beneficial for me to shut it off. I couldn't do what you needed me to do. But there was definitely a point where I said, this is actually very easy. So now that I know it, this is a piece of cake. And so once I started figuring out this is how we do things, it did feel good to me to say, okay, I've got this now. I 100% have no questions on how this whole system works. I totally got it down pat. But as far as like saying I'm successful as far as your program goes, yes. That was a yes, because I said, okay, I've not only mastered all these videos, but I've mastered the follow-up ninja, which really is very simple once you learn, like anything else, right? Like anything else. As far as my saying I've done it or I've succeeded, I live in a world of abundance and gratitude, and I don't need a number to tell me I've succeeded. None of that is relevant to me. It's helpful to pay the bills and be able to put more into my business and feel less stressed financially, because that is tough. And I do think you're right when you say sometimes a studio owner might feel like, oh, this is my only lead, I've really got to get them. You have to let go of the resistance. Once you let go of the resistance and just say, you know what, in my mind, my teachers are great. I don't allow any negativity in my studio ever. 35 years. It's simply not allowed. There's no teaching that has any negativity to it. You can always teach a child in a positive way and still get the learning in there. You know, they don't have to be coddled all the time, but they have to be, it has to be positive. It has to be a positive environment. But mine starts from the time they walk in the door. That's a really important thing for studio owners to know, that if a parent who doesn't know me, doesn't know my studio, and really doesn't know if they know anyone that goes there, they're coming in with anxiety. You got a 2, 3, 4-year-old child. You don't know if this is a good environment or not, right? And in this world we live in, you really have to be careful. Whereas 20 years ago, parents would drop off and leave. They don't do that anymore. So, you know, as soon as they walk in, they see it's a positive, happy, the waiting room is all lit up. Everything's nice colors. Everything is welcoming. I told you I have a coffee bar that sits there. I have water for the parents. So they're sitting there, they're comfortable. And I have a great person at the desk welcoming them as soon as they walk in the door. But that environment and knowing they can watch their child is already a relief. Oh, okay, she doesn't know me at all. I'm taking their child into another room and shutting the door. But if they can see, like, okay, and then, a lot of times now they don't stay, but at first they certainly did. So I think you have to build your environment right from the second they walk in the door. Make it all about them and their child. And not that I have 205 other students, but that their child's just as important as all those other 205. So in my case, I've spent a lifetime building what I said was like a family environment. I want everyone to be comfortable. Ask whatever questions you have to ask. Don't feel like somebody's more important than the next person. And as long as you're welcoming and your teachers are welcoming, the rest, you shouldn't have to feel like you have to feel pressure. And if you let go of the resistance and know if you're given a good product, your classes are good, they're having fun, which is so important, that part's the hard work, right? So the rest of this is just keeping it going. So I just look at it as part of my everyday life now. Follow Up Ninja is part of my everyday life, 7 days a week. It's not, sometimes parents only have Sundays to contact people like me, right? It's their only day off. I'm not going to not answer them on a Sunday because I'm sitting watching the Dallas Cowboys with my husband, right? Which is what we do on Sundays. So I'll stop and I'll answer. It's only a few minutes here and there. And those people need to feel important. And that's what I think, if they feel that, like, even when you respond in your Follow Up Ninja to their conversations, their questions, if they feel like you're a welcoming person, okay, let's try this. Doesn't mean that they're going to like it. Maybe it's not for them, but at least they feel comfortable walking in that door. And I think it starts with that. I think it starts right from those little conversations on the Follow Up Ninja. It's really important to connect to them as a studio owner, as a person.
Yeah.
A mom, a grandma, I can connect to feeling nervous to leave your small child with somebody you don't know. And, they'll say, can I stay in the room? We don't encourage it because they don't do the same thing when the parents are watching. But if you feel you need to for a few minutes, sure. And I always say, but you can watch it on the monitor in the waiting room. And, oh, okay, that's fine then, as long as they can see, right? So I think that's why I say I don't follow the script exactly, because for me, one mom and another mom may be completely different. So I just know from all of my years of experience what works and what doesn't work. And I treat everybody with respect, and I have pride in the product that we provide. And if you have that, it doesn't matter if you're perfect, doesn't matter if you have 500 students. If you love the 80 students you have and you want more, they're going to see that. They're going to see that you're genuine and you love your students, and you love your studio. Your program will work for them 100%.
Love it. How many of you guys are being inspired by this right now? Love to see some comments that just say inspired. Let us know if you're inspired. Hopefully there's some mental shifts happening right now. Maybe some of you guys are thinking like, oh, you know what? I've been thinking about this wrong. And now, or maybe not even wrong, but I've been thinking about this differently. And now I can see it in a different way. And it's helping you realize. So hopefully you're realizing you can do this. This is not something that, any specific person has to be like, have some special skills to do. This is something that you can do. As Yvonne said, our goal here, Travis and I and our team, our promise and our goal to you is we want to make sure that you are known in the community. That's it. If you're already providing a good class and providing good curriculum and doing good things for kids and students in general, we just want to help you be known in the community. That's it, right? We're not here to teach you how to teach. We're not here to teach you how to do anything except be known in the community. And so, and like Yvonne said, as long as you're doing good things and making good things happen in your school, we show you how to get the people into the school so they can experience that. And so it's just been beautiful to watch what you've done so far. in such a short amount of time.
Mm.
I mean, we're really, what's so cool about this is really just the beginning. Like, you've got so much growth ahead of you if you want it. And like you said, you have the ability to just flip a switch when you hit the level you want to hit. And if it dips below, you just flip the switch back on. It's so easy. And I think, even for, if you're going to hire someone to do this for you, it's difficult to maintain a relationship with another business if you're turning the switch on and off. I know when we were an agency, it was difficult for us to take clients back that we knew were going to be, they'd be on for 2 months and they'd be like, all right, I hit my numbers, just turn it off. And then they're not going to pay us anymore as an agency. When they come back to us, it's difficult for us to say yes to them. And there's other agencies out there, I think, that struggle with that too. But also from your perspective as a school owner, you don't want to be just like treating a company like a switch you're turning on and off. I think it's easier if you just treat the ads manager that way. If you just know where the switch is, it's like, here's the switch. Let's just turn it on and off. You don't have to wait around for us to do it for you. If you want to make a change, if you want to do something different, you have the freedom to do that. So we kind of have the teach a man to fish mentality. It's like, sure, we could do it for you, but what are you going to do if I get hit by a bus? Then you got to go find someone else to do it for you, or what happens if I want to retire? You're basically putting the control of the growth of your business into someone else's hands, when that's really kind of like one of the most important things. And it's really not that difficult when you're guided through it the correct way. So hopefully you guys are inspired by this. I'm really, I just love these stories. But for those of you watching, just so you kind of an idea of who we're looking to work with, we're only looking for dance studio owners who are passionate about serving the community, that have a great curriculum. So if that's you, what I would like to do is just invite you to what we call a game plan call. It's 15 minutes. It's the same call that Yvonne went through. And really what this is, it's not a sales call. In fact, the first call you have with us, I don't know if you remember this, Yvonne, you cannot buy from us. Like, we literally will not present anything for sale. What we want to do is talk to you and find out if you're a good fit. And if you are, we actually set up a second call to go through how we can help. So the first call, this is a game plan. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a game plan. And it's really literally designed to be a game plan. It's, let's get on the call. Let's get to know each other. Let us ask you some questions, and let's see if you're a good fit for the program. And there's probably 40% of the time that we get on a call and we realize that's not going to be a good fit because of where you're at or what you're doing right now. Maybe in the future, and we can help give you steps to get to the point where it is a good fit. Or sometimes we'll just refer you to some free resources that we have that will, kind of get you in a position to where you can do what we want you to do. And sometimes 60% of the time, it's a good fit. And so we'll set that call, but it's got to be a mutual decision. As we talked about a lot through this call, we're not here to talk anybody into anything. I don't live my life that way. I don't like being talked into things. I don't want to talk anybody into anything. So if you want to grow your studio, you want to do it the same way that Yvonne has done it, but you want to kind of customize it to your own school and your own situation, and you think maybe we can help you do that, we have some time opened up on our calendars for a 15-minute game plan call. We'll go over a few key details. That'll help us understand kind of where you are, what issues you're running into. And then something we really have to do on these game plan calls is to cast a vision for what it would look like to work with us and what kind of results you can expect based on your goals. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what your goals should be. I'm not going to sit here and tell you should have 200 students when all you really need is 50. At the same time, if you need 200 or want 200, I'm not going to tell you to settle for 50. So we need to get into that conversation to see if it's something we can help with. And it usually takes, I say 15 minutes. Most of the time it's 5 to 10 minutes. It's a quick call. So if you want that, type the word game in the comments right now. We will give you the answers that you're looking for. We'll try and give you as much clarity as we can. And this allows you also to kind of have a conversation with a human being. There's a lot of talk on the internet right now about like AI and artificial intelligence and chat bots, and like, that stuff's fine and good. I'm sure some people get some value out of that, but we're looking to build relationships and network. And we want to know, is this going to be a good fit? And you can get on the call and you can pretty much tell, like, yeah, I like to work with these guys, or you know what, it's not a good fit for me. And either way, you're going to get some value out of the call. We'll give you a game plan, and at least you'll be able to check the box and say, these aren't the guys I want to work with, or they are. As Yvonne said, she went through a few and it wasn't a good fit. It's not to say anything bad about those people. It just wasn't right for her till she found us. And so we might be one or the other. but you won't know until you get on a call with us and we
Right.
can actually have that conversation. So that's what the game plan call is for. So if you want to do that same process that Yvonne went through, just type the word game in the comments right now. We will set you up with that call. Somebody will probably reach out through Messenger or so. So if you comment the word game, make sure you're watching your Facebook Messenger. That's how we'll reach out. So back to you, Yvonne. What I would love to do real quick before we wrap things up is just hear, what are you most excited about like over the next year or so when you're moving forward? What's the most exciting thing for you right now as you look at the growth of the school?
Well, I told you I had a goal for myself. Well, I had a goal for my studio that I wanted to have 200 students by Christmas. And then I ended up hitting that goal, like, I think it was like October 10th or October 12th, 6 weeks, five or 6 weeks in. So now I've set a new goal of 250. Ideally, I'd love to have 300, but space-wise, what I have to offer, the students wouldn't get the quality of dance that I want. So my new goal is 250. And at this point, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to hit that by February. That's what I think. So,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
if I tell myself that's what it's going to be, then that's what it's going to be, because the only limits are the limits you put on yourself, right? There's no real limits in life, only if you put them on
Absolutely.
yourself. And I don't put limits on myself. So that's just a goal. It's just a number because it's fun to have a number, but it might be more. Who knows? If it feels like my studio can't give the quality of education I want it to have, then I'll stop. Then I'll say, okay, if that's at 230 and I say, okay, the classes are too full, then that's what I'll stop at. But the dollar amount isn't never going to be more of a priority than the kids getting a positive experience. So
I love that.
that's what I'm looking toward. And it's always good to open yourself to new things. We as studio owners take seminars and workshops and get better at teaching hip hop or teaching acrobatics or new styles and new music. And right, we're always open to that. But sometimes as studio owners, we feel like someone's coming at us if someone's saying the way we're doing things isn't, maybe you can this, maybe you can that. In my studio, I have no problem with people telling me if they feel like something could be better here or there, or, even if it's just a change. So if you look at it from a business aspect, why not try something new that can enhance you? If you're willing to learn new styles of dance, then why not learn new ways of running your business? And in the end, the reality is with this, it does the work for you. Once you put the time in and you learn it, it's just so easy. It's like clockwork. You don't have to put anything other than in my case, it's my time and my heart. I talk to these people and they're important, and it's easy. Your program is very easy.
I appreciate that. Don't forget the couple dollars you got to pay to Facebook for those ads, but
Yeah,
in comparison,
that's a tough part, but I would never shut off your part of it. Shutting off the ads makes sense if I couldn't give 100%,
right.
but I have people that are constantly messaging me through there, and I never want to lose that connection. So they, even though they have my contact information through the studio,
Yeah.
if that's how they met me, that's how they communicate with me. And so I wouldn't shut that off for anything. But yeah, sometimes the ads have to go. Like I said, if you're sick,
right.
you can give 100%, or maybe Christmas to New Year's. I don't know.
Yep. Well, I just love the freedom that you have, like, in your posture and the way you are just like so confident in what you're going to accomplish. And so I'm looking forward to seeing you hit those goals. I definitely want to check in on you again. Maybe we'll do this again and just see how everything is. But, Travis and I had a conversation about you. We're just so like excited and proud of how far you've come in such a short period of time. It's really just great to see. We love the impact you're making on the students. And what's cool is it's just the beginning. Like,
Right.
it's just a few weeks in. So I'm excited to see.
It happens. And that's the thing. You got to be willing to put the time in and answer those messages, answer those people and make them important. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't even shown up. Right.
Yeah.
So just treat them with respect and they'll come. And if you can, as far as I'm concerned, if you can get them there, you can keep them. You just got to get them there. Right.
That's it. Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you, Yvonne, for the inspiration. I'm sure there's a bunch of people still watching the live stream right now. And really, Yvonne's just one of many success stories from our program. She's in the group with us. We've got hundreds of other school owners that are going through the same process. This program that we've walked Yvonne through has been responsible for enrolling really literally tens of thousands of paying students collectively all across the world. So our vision is really just to create a community of highly successful dance studio owners who are great at what they do and are known in the community. So if you are great at what you do and you're not quite as known in the community as you want to be, type the word game. We will reach out. We'll get you on that call, and we'll make sure that we can answer your questions. And we want to ask you some questions. So we'll just ask you things like, what's going on in your dance studio? What challenges you're running into? What problems are you running into when you're trying to get people in the door? And then from there, if we've got a program that's a good fit, we'll talk to you about that. If it's not a good fit, we'll refer you to somebody that might be able to help you better or give you some free resources, whatever it takes to help you get where you want to be. That's the posture we have. It's like, if we can help you, we're going to help you. If it becomes a situation where we become like working together, great. If it doesn't, we're still going to try and help you as best we can. So if you want the systems and processes that Yvonne has used, the same templates and the same scripts and the same support and mentorship that we've shared with her, that she's really kind of customized and made her own, and the stuff that's helped her enroll 50 plus students in 6 weeks, and you're considering working with us and you want to go through some of that same process, maybe you have some questions, maybe you're wondering if it's even right for you or your situation is different, any of those things, just type the word game in the comments right now. We will go ahead and reach out. We'll make sure we get that game plan call scheduled. It's 15 minutes at the most, nothing for sale, literally at all. We did have one or two in the past 6 months that was like, no, I want to sign up. And we're like, no, you can't sign up. You have to wait. This is our process. You can't sign up because we have a process that we want to make sure we go deeper on. So you literally can't buy anything. We're not going to try and convince you to do anything on this call. We really want to learn about you. And so that's what this call is for. So if you want to get on those next steps, just type the word game in the comments right now. And just so you know what to expect, we're just interested in finding out more about your school to see if it's a good fit. That's it. So there's no pressure, nothing for sale, no links we're going to send you after the fact to sign up for anything. It doesn't work that way. So that's it. So if you want that, type the word game and we'll make sure we set that up with you. Any final words, Yvonne, before we wrap things up?
My final words would be, make that call and talk to you, because first of all, you've got nothing to lose. And secondly, you've got everything to gain. So they're really good people, easy to work with, like friends.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm excited to see where you end up in the next year. Let me know in February if I don't hear from you before then. If you hit that goal, when you hit that goal. I know you're going to hit the goal, but maybe it changes in the future and becomes bigger, or you limit it to 230 and you're happy with that. I'm curious to know where you end up with it. So definitely keep in touch with that. And for everybody that's watching right now in the comments, if you would, this is where you can just, on Facebook Live, if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, I think you can do the same thing. We're going to be streaming to lots of different platforms here, but wherever you are, if you hit the like button a bunch of times on Facebook, it like sprays up this cool little, it looks like applause. It just like shoots up. So if everybody hits the like button right now, or a heart or some kind of an emoji, give us something in the comments. Let us know. This is sort of your way of giving a round of applause for Yvonne for coming in here and sharing her story with you guys. So hopefully you're inspired. And for those of you looking to work with us, make sure you just type the word game, and I'm looking forward to getting on the call with you. So as we wrap up, final invitation, if you need dancers in the studio, if you need to grow your studio, if you're looking to generate some more revenue, whatever it is, if you need to fill the classes, if your Marleys are empty, let us know, and just type the word game in the comments and we'll help you get that all fixed up. So either way, on that call, you will get a ton of insight, ton of value. We'll see if you're a good fit. You can see if we're a good fit. So final time I'll say it, type the word game right now and we will reach out to get that scheduled. So Yvonne, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure everyone here is very grateful to hear your story. I had a great time. It's really good to kind of get to know you a little bit more. I appreciate that. I feel like we're friends already too, like just very kindred, I guess, in terms of your mindset and your way of looking at things in abundance. So I really appreciate it. I hope everybody here got a lot of value out of this, and we will see you all here next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern in the group. So have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Yvonne.